Hello, everyone, and welcome back to VectoScalar Tech Talk show. You have been an amazing guest in the past as well, and I'm sure all the people who are going to join in today's session, and even if you are going to watch this session again on the recorded channel, you are going to enjoy this session and learn a lot about many things from this session itself. Today, our VectoScalar Tech Talk is going to cover a very important topic, that is faster software development. And for that, let me invite our technical architect, senior technical architect from VectoScalar, Suman Kumar Suman. Welcome, Suman, to the show.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Hi, Vikas.
Hello, Suman. And he is going to cover about faster software development using open source, SaaS, low code, and no code. To give you a brief introduction about Suman, he is a senior technical architect at VectoScalar Technologies with more than 12 plus years of experience. He has worked on many enterprise level applications and worked on technologies like AWS, IoT, React.js, Native, Java, Node.js, and more. These are some of the technology, but I am sure the list is actually long. And he is among the first company's employees. And that's his commitment to the company and to the technical community that he has agreed to share his insight with the world. So, Suman, what is the importance of faster software development these days?
Yes. So, Vikas, as you explained, for VectoScalar, I'm working for the last 12 years, right? And different technologies, right? And VectoScalar is a service company, right? So, every 6 months or in 1 year, we get new projects with new kind of challenges, new kind of expectations, right? So nowadays, from last 1, 2, 3 years, like many means software industry is evolving. It is becoming huge, right? And even different kind of customer is coming up, right? So they want to build everything now faster, right? Now
Yes.
means there are some kind of enterprise applications. They have a vision what to build in next 2, 3 years, but there are sometimes some customers they want to prototype and test to the market in 2, 3 months, right? So that
Yeah,
demand is to build fast, but how? That's the question that we will deal. That's the topic of this session. Yeah.
that's great. So, let's start the presentation without further ado. And
Yes.
here it starts.
Sure. So Vikas, yeah. So as we discussed, the topic for today is to discuss about faster software development. Means how we are doing the development of the software in faster way, right? So what is the way, right? So before that, why this kind of trend is coming, why this is a question, right? So to understand this, we need to see some trends. So this is a trend from IoT analytics, and if you see, the market capture of the software industry is growing from 2017 to the forecasted of 2027. So you see that this is kind of growing exponentially, right? And even if you see this pie graph, so means if you look closer, so you see that there other 55.1% are other. It is not just market giant, but all other smaller companies and smaller investors are also occupying this space, right? So even after the COVID, many even in the smaller companies, they are trying to develop different kind of software, different kind of applications that people can use, right? So but due to this, they are facing several challenges. Even the one who is trying to make the application, and even the one who is making the application, like the software developer and the services companies like us, right? So the major challenges that is coming up is the complexity of the development, right? As a non-tech or just from the business perspective, you can envision that we need to make this, right? But to make this, you will have to write algorithms, you have to write program, you have to make that software, right? So some level of complexity comes, and this raises another questions, right? You need proper set of resources, right? You need to retain those resources, because if you are going to train some people on some kind of technologies, you do not want to lose them. Otherwise you will keep training people only, and they will not be able to help you in your product, right? And even if you build something for suppose 6 months, 1 year, if you want to build a prototype, then some kind of tech debt comes, right? And if you able to do all this, then the time to market is very huge. And nowadays when everyone is fighting with each other, if you keep taking time, then your competitor will gain, right? So they will win the match, right? And the most important thing is cost. To test something, to prototype something, you do not want to lose all your savings, right? So these are all the challenges that is emerging due to the gain of the software industry and due to the gain of the trends, right? Now, what is the solution, right? So suppose Vikas, means you need to go to the Mumbai for some tech talk show, like you might be visiting there, right? So if you just catch the train every time, right? So it will always take same amount of time, roughly 1 or 2 hour more or less, right? But if you change the tool, right? If you take a flight or another way, right? Then you will be able to save time, but at some
True.
cost, right? So yeah, Vikas, go ahead. You want to ask something?
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely, Suman, as you talked
Mhm.
about that, when I use another tool, like
Mhm.
another way of transport, definitely time will reduce. But I have one question regarding that. You talked about the trends globally, that how
Right.
IT adoption is increasing. Do we see the similar pattern in India as well?
Yes. So several people, even from the smaller cities, from means I come from Bhagalpur. There is a very smaller cities, and few of my friends reach out to me to make applications so that they can book the doctor appointments for the doctor, right? So Practo and other stuff have not reached smaller cities, but people are very much aware due to the internet. They want to use the applications. So, but they do not have so much kind of investment to build that, right? So means this is a trend. Everyone wants to use the applications, even in the smaller to smaller cities, due to the reach of internet and other stuff.
Sure. And my next question, Suman, would be that you mentioned tech debt is one of the
Mhm.
challenge. Could you explain it more, because for the audience it may be more understandable. What do
Correct.
we
Tech debt
actually mean
is
by tech debt?
Correct. Tech debt is basically this is technical terms that software industry uses. So this is not directly related to business, but suppose you want to build something, right? So first of all, you go with a POC, right? And you take some shortcuts, right? Suppose let's take about the subscription. If you want to build subscription, right? So you do not
Yes.
want to, or you cannot build everything in time in a POC, right? So you create, means you come up with a smaller kind of subscription, but do not give edit or cancel options. That can come later. So the things that is not important and come later, but that is useful for the user, that is called tech debt, right? So and suppose similarly, if you want to target a smaller group of people initially in the POC, so you will create those kind of infrastructure. But if you scale it at later point, right? So those kind of things come in tech debt that you need to implement at a later stage.
Got it.
So
Please go
yeah.
ahead, Suman. Yeah, that answers.
Yes. Okay. So now, what is the solution? Means, as I explained, there are several ways to tackle a solution. But in software industry, this is one of the way that we are tackling to make the software development faster. Time to market should be faster. Cost should be optimized. So that is low code and no code. So this is self-explanatory, but we will talk about this at in further slides. But this is accomplished using open source and the SaaS platform. SaaS is software as a service. So you pay, but and you avail the software as a kind of service in terms of subscription or in terms of features, right? So now we will deep dive into what is low code and no code. So, but before that, means this is specifically for programmers. No code isn't just about helping means non coders or the non technical persons, but it is also helping the current developers or the coders to build something faster. Means earlier,
Okay.
if you're taking 1 week to deliver a feature, with the help of some tools or no code, low code technology, you can build in 1 days something. Just take this days and hours in as an example for reference,
Got it.
right?
Yes, makes sense.
Right. So low code and no code means what is this? So these are just a tools, means exactly the software tools. So you can use drag drop functionality or some pre-built component or some libraries so that you can use that to build something. So means suppose you need to build subscription in most of the application, right? So you will just instead of developing that, you will use some library or some SaaS based service of the subscription. That is actually low code and no code. And the difference is, if you just using drag drop without any code, then that is no code functionalities. Like Flutter Flow is becoming very popular nowadays. You will have to just drag drop and create a application. That is no code application example. And low code is something like you configure something and you just initialized or configured in your code, but very minimal code. So then that is low code. Example is Firebase and other stuff that we will take a look of in example, right? Now,
Okay.
if I move forward, let's just, we discussed about the challenges, but what are the benefits of using low code and no code technology? So it gives you speed because things are pre-built, so you will be able to just ready to use plug and play kind of things, right? It helps you in collaboration because most of the SaaS service means you can accumulate your team. They have proper documentation, so you will be able to collaborate within the team and with the business owners. Cost efficient because this is pre-built things. You are not developing it from scratch, so it is means cost efficient, right? So there is a defined way, means this is also a very big challenge in industry. So suppose you are building something new, so if you pick anything like authorization or subscription, anything, you will have to define a way how your application should behave. But if you go with some no code or predefined applications or the services, you know, means they have given you the way, means how the how user journey should behave and other stuff. All the use case and other stuff is already covered, so you have a defined way there. But if you define, means develop from scratch, you will have to do that manually, right? And another one is compliance and security. Let's take about example of Aadhaar or other kind of verification, right? There are compliance and regulatory things related to this. If you build your own, means it will take a huge amount of cost and effort to build that, right? But if you avail any Aadhaar verification service, they have already compliance um, implemented, right? So you will be able to just use that. So that's also a very big benefit with using low code and no code technology, right? So now I'm just going to deep dive into some of the examples. So Vikas, anything you want to add here?
Yes, I have a quick question regarding the, definitely the benefits are seemingly
Mhm.
very nice, and every tech
Yeah,
founder would like to have those benefits before building any application. But there must be some downside as well, because there is
of
nothing
course.
which is having only the positive side. So one or two downside or challenges with the low code and no code applications.
Of course, as the analogy I gave earlier. So, because if you are picking a flight, right, there are some constraint of flight, right? You cannot have
Yes,
much amount of baggage. You will have to some pay something extra. You will have to reach the airport, right? So, even with the low code and no code, there are some limitations and constraint, and that are the limitations. The one is the customization, but I will discuss about the limitation at the later stage. Let's see the
sure.
positive point first, and let's get dive into some of the examples. I will not give you the much details, but I will just give you few of the examples that we are using right now, and it can help other programmers or the developers to use. So
And that is
most,
that is beneficial as well, Suman, because definitely the detailed videos are must already be available. But most first
oh
and
yeah,
foremost things that mostly people are not aware that something of this sort exists. So if
yes.
you can share these details, that will be helpful for the audience, so that they'll get to know, okay, something of this sort that exists, and then they can definitely use the YouTube and other mechanism to dive further into it. So please go
Absolutely,
ahead.
very good point, Vikas. Right. So sometimes we are not aware, and we start building. So
Yes,
yeah, at least these pages can give the idea that what we are using and how they can reach out for these features, right? So there is one common feature, admin panel. Whenever you start building any application, you need to build an admin panel to configure, control, and see the data, right? So, but these are not user facing. Admin panel is just for sometimes for the support and for the smaller application, just for the owner to see what is happening and to configure something, right? So you do not want to build or spend much amount of time on this. So there are some tools like Retool, AdminJS, and AppSmith. So I have listed some of them, not all, but these are the tools that we have used in past, and these will help you to create admin panel. So these tools actually directly integrate with the database and with your configuration, the constant and other stuff that you set with the configuration. It will give you all the UI pre-built so that you can use without even writing any one line of the UI code. So they will just directly give your access to the DB with proper authorization and authentication. So I will not give deep dive into retool details that is readily available. But if
sure.
you just see this screen, this GIF, Vikas, so what this screen is doing, it just imported a CSV and created a new field, right? And
Yes.
once it creates, you will have this UI readily available that any business owner or the admin owner can use, and this directly integrates to the database, and all the data is coming from the database and getting saved to the database as well. So all the filtering, sorting, everything is available here. So
Okay.
if you want to build the admin tool, just configure the retool, give the database username, passwords, and other stuff, and it is readily available for you.
Seems like
Right?
a week's work is done in few seconds.
Yes, right. Of course, it has limitation because this has only these options. If you want to create custom things, you will have to code, you will have to add, right? So those kind of customization is also available in some of the tools, but not in everything. So before picking anything, we have to pick means what is our use for now, what is our use cases, and is the current tool is suffice for that for or not, and then based on that we can use. So this is example for the admin panel. Now moving for the app builder. So this is means now when I say that even in the smaller cities in India, everyone wants to build mobile application. So this is totally true, and Flutter Flow is booming for this need and bubble. So these are some of the example. So if I just go to the GIF of the Flutter Flow, you see this is kind of panel you get for the Flutter Flow, and there are all the elements that you want on the mobile app screen is available. You can just drag drop, and on the right side you can configure the details, and this is ready. And the best part is all the integrations is also available, so you can integrate some API or Firebase or some database. Those things also you can configure. So whatever you want to deep dive more technically, and you will be able to achieve more features. But for the static thing, you can just build in few days, the whole application will be ready, right? But if you just go means for the means custom implementation of the mobile application, even the code base setup will take means 1 week for the all the deployment and the stuff with empty screen, right? So now the another one is that is mostly most of the application uses is subscription and payment, because
Yes.
whenever we want to prototype something, build something, that is just mostly for the business, right? So for the business you need payment and subscription, right? But subscription is the need of most of the application, every application. So if everyone starts building it, they will spend a lot of amount on just building same thing again and again. So the solution is to use some kind of SaaS service like Chargebee or Stripe. So basically on the Chargebee you can configure your payment system, you can configure your customers, you can configure subscription, all the things that you can think of the subscription like add-ons, renew, invoices, mails, messages, reminder, expiry, everything is built in this. So you will have to just use this, and this provides some customer UI interfaces as well that you can readily integrate into your application. So for the smaller application or the startup application, they can just use this its UI, Chargebee UI, and later when they scale, then they can create their own UI, right? So it is very much helping us to get the app in the market faster with all the features enabled, right? Discount and other stuff is means very heavy to build, customize means in from scratch. But with the Chargebee or other application or the services, we can readily use that. Okay. So moving to the user management, this is again also a thing that most of the application use. They want to track their user, they want to means authenticate their user, right? So Firebase and Keycloak are the most popular services that we are using. There are a lot of more like Okta and Auth0, other stuff as well. But these are the things that we have used. So if I just show you the presentation of Keycloak, you can see all the user you can manage from this panel. You can assign permission, dynamic roles, and integrations. Everything is available here. So you do not need to build anything. And Keycloak is open source. Just get the code, deploy means with the help of your DevOps, and all the user management is readily available for you. So this is again a low code kind of platform. Okay. Now, same for the chat. Most of the application uses chat to communicate between customer and the business, or between two customers, right? So GetStream and Sendword give the ready to use SDK. Again, this is a kind of low code platform. So if you just use the Sendword SDK, they give you a beautiful UI. If you do not want to customize it, you can readily use their application. Just this is again one day task to implement the whole chat features with all the possible features like read receipt, online offline event, retry, mute, ban, um, media, GIF, emojis, everything. So this will all be readily available, and you can integrate in your application. If you go to the customization and other stuff, then it will take a little bit of time. But if you do not want that, then this is very much readily available for you. and your customer to start the chatting, right? Now, next thing is kind of dashboard builder. Most of the application wants a dashboard for data analytics purpose or other stuff, right? So I will just show you, means there are several tools. I have picked two, Amazon QuickSight and Grafana. I will show you just how this is working. So I will just take you to the QuickSight panel. So because you able to see my the QuickSight login?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so this is, I have just logged in the AWS QuickSight. So I will just show you how I can easily create the dashboard. So this is from scratch. So I'm just creating new analytics, new data set. Even I'm importing the data set from the scratch. So you see there is a lot of kind of integration as 3 Redshift, Postgres, means you can get data from anywhere. For now, I am just getting the data from my local system. I have just copied a CSV file. It is uploading. So this is the data that it is showing for the sample. I'm not editing anything, so whatever data is in CSV, I'm picking that. So I will create. So let's create a pie chart, and let's say I want the pie chart as per the brand of the smartphones. So you see that this data is now readily available. Now I can just go and publish. Let me name a dashboard.
So
Now
as
you
we were
see,
talking about, within
yeah.
few seconds, things are done.
Yes. Similarly, you can add different kind of widgets. Means in the previous page we were saying that there was kind of means line chart, bar chart, pie chart, everything was available. So within seconds you can create a dashboard, publish it, and you can share with someone. So this is very important if you just going for some client presentation, or if you, or you are means analyzing your business. So this is very important to see the data, right? And if you start coding for this, creating data, UI is itself a huge task, and building queries and getting data from the database also a huge task, right? So finally you will, now means I just want to add one thing that due to limitation of time I was not able to share. So now means with the use of generative AI and other stuff, these tools got advanced as well. So here is the Amazon Q, that is the generative AI service of Amazon AWS. So with the help of that, you can just use or type queries and it will get you the data. So suppose you are in a presentation of the smartphones, you want to see which color is the most popular color. So you will write which color is the most popular color, and it will give you the data from your data set. So generative AI takes your data and do the analysis and give you the dashboard or data from with the help of these tools. So that is very fascinating and means interesting for us nowadays.
That's
So
definitely interesting because having a business dashboard is one of the critical requirement for any business, especially for a data intensive application. When we say that senior leaders are making decision based on data, so data should be visualized and gathered in a manner, and getting that data in a few minutes, because and it's a great advantage for any business and for application. And as I understand, Suman, all of the things that you have shown in today's demo and talked about the different kind of tools, is that VectoScalar must have already been using those tools in developing one application or another for the client, right?
yes, as I said, there are several kind of tools available. I'll just pick few of them that we are using internally mostly, right? So
Okay,
dashboard,
that
there
makes
are a
sense.
lot of dashboard builder, a lot of app builder, but the things that I have shown is mostly that we are using, that I have used personally.
And that makes more sense. Definitely there are many things in the marketplace, but we must have calculated and evaluated that what works best for this kind of client requirement. And so what our users are getting, are they are getting the crisp version of the that analysis, that based on the evaluation, these are the most relevant tool that one can use in their development project, right?
Right. Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
so now moving forward, so coming back to your question,
Yeah.
Vikas, so you wanted to know, means this is very awesome. You can create few things in minutes. So what are the limitation or what are the downside? So it's not actually a downside. This is just a limitation, and you should just take proper precaution before picking anyone. So I will list some of them, like customization. So few of the application do not provide much of the customization, like the retool or the stuff that I talked about. So you will have some control on the UI, like you can change logo, font color, etc. But they have pre-built feature that X actions you can do, X things you can configure, but not more than that, right? So if you just want to create some funny pop-up or animation in between when you add a data, that is readily not available. So you will not be able to do that such kind of tools. Even with the Flutter Flow kind of things, right? There are set of things that you can use, but that is very good. Means mostly these tools cover 99% of the things that most prototype thing and most of the startup application needs. But if you want one percent that peculiar thing that is not in that tool, that you should know, should not go with that particular tool, right? So you need to analyze what you need to build, check the feature set of these tools. If that is matching, then it is good to go. Otherwise, you have to reevaluate that we should use that or not, right? Ongoing
Okay.
cost. Some of the things are hosted, means SaaS based service, means you can create your account and you can use that. But some of them are open source that you can download and use. Some of them are pay per use pricing, right? So for the smaller thing, it is very good. Means like this is positive side that you can build something in minutes. Like quick site is a costly service. So for some business presentation and other stuff, you can use this. You will have to spend some dollar. But if you are a customer facing application and every customer has his own login and they wants to use this, then it may be not a cost effective things for your thing, right? So you have to check what kind of cost is incurred with this kind of tools that we are going to use, and this is in align with your budget or not, and based on that we should take the decision, right? So means basically for public facing dashboard we should not use quick sites, so these kind of things happen. So we should analyze that because cost is a means big factor, right? Another one is vendor lock-in. So suppose I am using few things from the AWS, right? So it will be very difficult at a later point to move from that particular service provider, right? So this is also kind of limitation, not very much, but all this imposes some limitations, like you will be bound to pay AWS to use those services, right? And another last one is no control on infra. Means where this is deployed and where this is running, you do not have any control. Means for the some application, you can choose the regions, but you do not know what kind of machine, what kind of stuff it is running, right? So for some applications that is data sensitive, then data should not go outside of your system. For those kind of application, you should not use SaaS based service, but you can use open source kind of service that you can just deploy on your own. So these are the limitations. I will not say the limitation, but way of the use. You should analyze it once, then use. So that's the thing, and that's the final thing from my side, because
Yeah, definitely the audience should be thankful in a manner that the kind of information and knowledge that you shared during the session itself is very profound, Suman. I have few
yeah,
questions in the pipeline, so let me go to those questions. And while I'm taking up those questions, I have one more thing that we are taking a quick survey asking people that how many tech talk they have attended in the past. So while we will have the conversation, I would like if people can also answer these questions that how many tech talks. So what you have to do, you have to just scan this QR code. For the audience, what you have to do, you just scan this QR code from your WhatsApp. Go to your WhatsApp, open your WhatsApp app, go to the camera within your WhatsApp, and you once you scan this code, you will find text. You just need to press enter, and then you can type the number. So after pressing enter, you can just type the number that in past how many VectoScalar Tech Talk you have participated in the past. And while this poll will be live, I'll have one question from, and the question is coming from Simple. So let's take that question. So Simple is asking that what factors should be taken into account when deciding between low code and no code tools and custom implementations.
yes. So yeah, very good questions, and that is just related with the limitations that I talked simple, right? So
Yep.
first we need to analyze our features, what we need to build and what is absolutely necessary, right? And then we will pick the related low code or no code tool, like authorization. If I want to build just the Google login, then we will check if I'm going with Keycloak or with the Firebase. I will check that is readily available or not, right? So like SMS, OTP, those things, those features are really available or not. If those are readily available, then we can pick, otherwise not. And but you should also be cautious about other implementation like compliances and other stuff. Like when I said few data should not leave in some kind of industries like just like Aadhaar or other stuff. So you should check with that means low code or no code tool if those are compliances or not, and those are means fulfilling your needs or not. Means uh, in short, you will have to analyze your requirement once with the tool that you are picking. And the second one is
Okay.
the factor of the cost when you scale. Yeah.
Okay. So primarily, as you mentioned, that there are certain pros and cons of each and everything, and same is holds true for low code and no code application. So one has to and first jot down their requirement, that what they are expecting, and then what this particular tool or this particular SaaS service that they are going to use, whether
Yes.
it is useful in their custom deployment, and is there any possible constraint in the future.
Correct.
Like today it may seems like that it is well integrated, but it might not be that easy to change it in the future, right?
Yeah.
It,
Right.
it might be tightly coupled, and then it may have any future repercussions. So one should think of the current as well as the future scenarios, and then evaluate those applications. Thanks, Simple. Thanks for asking this question, and I hope your question is
Well said, Vikas. Just one more point came just in my mind. Data
yeah.
migration is also an issue. Sometimes when you pick some low code, no code tool and data gets in that tool, you sometimes you are not able to get it back. They do not provide you export function. So you will have to evaluate if you are going to move it from away.
Makes sense. Make total sense on that part. I have another question coming from Anup Verma. So Anup is asking, it's a kind of a long question. While no code, low code resemble a fictional trail, won't this be only helpful in the sense of scaling it further to those who actually know the working of the framework, language, or the library? For a beginner, it might have study learning curve at first, but this might plateau very soon if he or she isn't familiar with the language. So could you elaborate, touch on
Absolutely.
this?
Absolutely, Anu, means very fair point, and I have covered in one of my slide as well. So low code, no code tool is not only for non-tech people or not only for the no coder people, right? This is also for the coders that means who want to build something faster that is readily available, kind of libraries or that you want to pick, right? So of course, if you means again there is difference between low code and no code. If you are totally means not a programmer, you can use some no code, but you have to understand the features and other stuff, right? So eventually, even the case of the generative and other stuff, it is not going to replace the coder, but coders should use these tools. So same goes with this as well, right? So a coder or developer should use low code, no code because they understand the nuances.
Makes total sense. Thanks, Anup, for asking your question, and hope you will ask more in the future as well. Now, my question, Suman, you explained it very well that there are these are the different no code and these are the low code application that are there, and how we are developing our future application in a faster manner. My question would be that what kind of what would be the profile of the developer in future? So what is future of development, that when there are so many SaaS applications that are available that are solving problem, payment subscription and other subscription, so as a developer, what should I focus upon to develop and be ready for the future?
So there are two standpoints. So if you are developing something, if you are asking in that context, then
Yeah.
again, same goes to the thing. Like whenever you want to develop a module, understand its requirement, take a look on the internet that is there any something readily available or some popular services. Even if you do not use it, you will be able to learn from the feature set of that. If you are that is not in your business need, but you will be able to learn from that as well. So if the whole requirement is coming up, then you will be able to use low code and no code. So that's one thing. Means take a look. Means at least as the software industry is shifting, you should take a look if that is any readily tool available. Try to use that if that means if your ecosystem suits that. But there is another context, because so if you are a job seeker of kind of things, so it is very good to highlight these things on your resume. So nowadays whenever I see some new resume, I see that worked with Firebase, worked with Stripe payment. So that also motivates the users. Means if in your new application, if you are going to integrate Stripe, so you will try to pick that particular skill set.
Okay, that makes total sense. That we have to take care and keep learning about the new platforms that are solving our problem, and keep upgrading our skill in that manner. And once we have upgraded our skill, once we have got onto a new thing, we can highlight that in our profile as well, so that it can
Yeah,
increase our chances of getting selected during client selection. That
absolutely.
makes
Yeah.
total sense.
Yep.
My next question is that, then what would be the job for the people who are doing hardcore coding platform when these faster software development are going to be available in the future?
So yeah, again, Vikas means it's not actually shift, like means this is not a categorization that there is a developer who do not use tool and there is a developer who uses tool, right? That's kind of conception. Even with the AI coming up, many people were asking what will happen to the people who do not use AI, right? So this is not kind of that thing, right? Everything is shifting, and the people who are working in that industry also shift. They tend to use, some adapt few things at a later moment, some adapts it quickly, right? But everyone is means, if some tools are going to means vastly use, most of the people will adapt to that because they are helping, but no one is going to replace or other things, right? So whoever is not using these tools, I would say at least learn about this. So as I said, even if you do not use this tool, but you will be able to learn from the ecosystem or the feature set or the things that they are providing, right? So even the business people who are creating the business or product requirement, those get benefited from reading these tools, what kind of features they are providing, right? So that's the thing. So again, this goes to your analogy, because again, so if you just keep picking the trend, means do not take me that you are picking trend always, right? So means if someone is picking the trend always, so always he means eventually he will start reaching late, and the people who are picking the flight, they will reach early.
Yeah, that's a beautiful point to close the tech talk for today. That keep on doing repeating one thing may not help in the future kind of agile environment, and one should be first aware of that what are the other options available, and then buy in that what are the pros and cons, what are the things that may work well. And I'm seeing that we have started getting accolade positive feedback for the your session. Akshika is saying that it was a very informative session. So
Thanks.
thanks, Suman. And before parting, any last thought, any last inspiration for the developers that what they should focus upon, especially this year, and then we can close the tech for today.
Same thing, keep learning, means before implementation, read something, means how other peoples are doing, how the industry giant Google, Microsoft, how they are doing, what is the trend of the new industry. So keep learning, keep growing.
That's a great thought. Keep learning, keep growing. I'm getting another accolade coming from Simple City. Yeah, that great session, Suman. Thanks, Suman. Thanks for being part of VectoScalar Tech Talk. You have always been an asset, and thanks for sharing that insight. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Vikas. Bye.
And thanks to the our always audience who is attending our session always. And thanks for attending all the sessions and asking your question in every tech talk. In case you have any question for future tech talk as well, you can type in the comment box below, so that we can take up those questions, and also we'll get the gist that what kind of session that you are looking for the future, and we'll come back with another amazing speaker next week. Till then, have a nice day, keep learning, keep growing, as Suman said, and bye bye.
Thank you.